The future very interesting. If I just again divide this local challenge into two, one is basically this our human resource development for our business process management industry, and as well as overall IT. That the new BPO industry, government is planning to create proper trained people for the industry for the coming days to go on this area. In the government, if I just talk about from the overseas, as well as a lot of new companies like Augmetics and few others are working in Bangladesh now, and we have created some demand, we have created some supply as well. But the vision we are looking at, billions of dollars, or even if we compare with India, is quite so far. I believe to create a huge demand, government can play a big role here. Internally, what we can see that we do not have any policy to do any value addition on our software industry and IT-enabled services. So local value addition policy is a must. If we look at India, China, everybody developed. If we compare with India, about 20 years back, the government has given only policy support to their local industrialists. And this policy support is very important. If we have some kind of 25-30% value addition policy into the software industry, it will attract a lot of investment, I'm sure, and into this area. And in the BPO, the call center, I think our minister just half an hour back, he said he was ordering about his demand of the call center and the softwares. But this we all talk about, but we do not do into the policy properly. I think now it is the time. This event has given us a chance to discuss about this. I think we can all discuss more on this, and finally we can come to a strong policy to support our industry properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Moinul. Thanks for sharing all your ideas. Actually, let me give you some ideas about it. Always we talk about India, and in terms of IT industry, not only IT industry, any economic perspectives, we talk that actually the ideal should be 10% of whatever India is doing, we should be 10%. This is a common perception even in IT industry, because in my experience being associate chairman, Asian IT Association chairman, we always think on that, 10% what India is doing, Bangladesh should do 10% of that. 10% means, at present Indian, NASCA, according to NASCA figure is 100 billion. So if it is 100 billion, Bangladesh should do 10 billion, right? And then when your vision, their vision is in 2020, we are talking about 2021. If it is 300 billion, then it should be 30 billion. Introduce him because he's from Australia. He's from outsourcingguide.com, and I'm really glad that especially the overseas people, the other nations also trying to look into Bangladesh and see the prospects of Bangladesh and opportunities in Bangladesh. So it's very good that some other people also trying to look into the future of Bangladesh also. Thanks, Martin. I'm going to hand over mic to Emdad, and then later on I'll ask something from you.
Thank you, Kapil. Honorable Chief Guest, our BTRC Chairman, Dr. Shahzan Mahmood. মনির ভাই কিছুক্ষণ আগে বললেন যে আমাদের আসলে পলিসি নিয়ে কাজ করতে হবে, আমি ওনার সাথে শতভাগ একমত। আমাদের অলমোস্ট 18 ইয়ার্স বাংলাদেশে 96 থেকে 2015 পর্যন্ত আমরা ইন্টারনেট সার্ভিস বা আইটি সেক্টরের শুরুটা বর্তমান সরকারের হাত ধরেই প্রথম দুটো ইন্টারনেট সার্ভিস প্রোভাইডার কোম্পানি সার্ভিস শুরু করে আমাদের বাংলাদেশে। ঠিক আমি কেন এই জিনিসটা আইএসপির কথা নিয়ে আসলাম সরাসরি, আসলে বিপিও সামিট, সফটওয়্যার, আইসিটি সেক্টর যাই বলি না কেন, আমাদের মেন সেবাটা হলো আইএসপি সেবাটা। যদি আমরা রিলায়েবল সার্ভিস, তখনই আমরা বলবো শুধু বাইরের লোকজন কেন ইনভেস্ট হবে, আমাদের নিজেদের একটা প্রপার নেটওয়ার্ক এবং ভালো মানব সম্পদ আমরা তৈরি করতে পারবো। আসলে সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমরা কতদূর এগিয়েছি আমি সেই ব্যাপারে একটু আলোকপাত করার চেষ্টা করব। আমরা যখন 96-এ সেবা পৌঁছে দেওয়ার জন্য চেষ্টা করেছি, বাট আমরা আসলে মনে করি যেহেতু আমি 18 বছর যাবত এই সেবার সাথে জড়িত, সেবা দিয়ে যাচ্ছি, চেষ্টা করছি। আমার এখানে সিনিয়র মনির ভাই আছেন, উনিও ঠিক ওই সময় থেকেই এই ইন্ডাস্ট্রির সাথে জড়িত। আমি বলবো যে এখন পর্যন্ত আমাদের প্রপার ইনফ্রাস্ট্রাকচার তৈরি করার যে গাইডলাইনটা সেটা সম্পূর্ণ না। আর যেটুকু সম্পূর্ণ হয়েছে তার মধ্যে দেখা যাচ্ছে যে এখনো অনেক গ্যাপ রয়ে গিয়েছে। আমার মনে হয় আমাদের বিটিআরসি চেয়ারম্যানের মধ্যে এখানে আছেন, আমাদেরকে যদি কল করা হয় বা সবাইকে নিয়ে বসা হয়, আমার মনে হয় সেই গ্যাপগুলো আমরা বের করে নিয়ে আসতে পারবো। তো আমি জাস্ট এটুকুই বলবো যে এখন পর্যন্ত আমাদের ইউজারদেরকে সেবা দেওয়ার জন্য আমরা 10% নেটওয়ার্ক সারা বাংলাদেশে তৈরি করতে পারিনি। এখন যদি আবার প্রাইভেট সেক্টরকে বলা হয় যে এনটিটিএন কোম্পানি বা যারা আমরা আইএসপি আছি আমাদেরকে বলা হয় যে তোমরা আনাচে কানাচে প্রত্যেকটা পাড়ায় মহল্লায় সেবা নিয়ে পৌঁছাও, আমাদের দ্বারা সম্ভব না। এটা গভর্নমেন্ট এখানে আমাদেরকে সহযোগিতা করতে হবে বা ইনফ্রাস্ট্রাকচার যারা তৈরি করবে তাদেরকে সহযোগিতা করতে হবে। সহযোগিতা এটা ডিফাইন্ড ওয়েতে হতে পারে, সেটা যারা ইনফ্রাস্ট্রাকচার তৈরি করবে তাদের বিভিন্ন ধরনের কস্ট আছে, সেই ফাইবার ইম্পোর্ট থেকে আরম্ভ করে তাদের ডাক্টিং থেকে আরম্ভ করে বিভিন্ন কস্ট আছে। সেই কস্টগুলো যদি গভর্নমেন্ট ওয়েব করে তাহলে আমার মনে হয় একটা ধাপ আমরা আগাবো। আমাদের দুটো এনটিটিএন কোম্পানি আছে, সেই এনটিটিএনের সাথে যদি যারা আসলে রিয়েলি এই বিজনেসের সাথে জড়িত, আমি বলবো যে মাঝখানে মধ্যস্বত্বভোগী অ্যাড না করে যারা আইএসপি সেবা দিচ্ছে বা ইন্টারনেট সেবা দিচ্ছে তাদের ভালো ভালো কিছু প্রতিষ্ঠানকে যদি ওই সেবার সাথে ট্রান্সমিশন নেটওয়ার্ক তৈরি করার জন্য তাদেরকে লাইসেন্স দেওয়া হয় এবং তাদেরকে সুযোগ দেওয়া হয়, তাহলে এই সেবাটা আরও তাড়াতাড়ি ইউজার এন্ডে পৌঁছে যাবে। এবং আমার এখানে এনবিআর এর যদি কেউ থাকতো হয়তো আমার জন্য একটু সুবিধা হতো। আমি দেখাতে পারতাম যে আমি যদি 100 টাকা একটা ব্যান্ডউইথ কিনে ইউজার এন্ডে শুধু আইএসপি এন্ডে পৌঁছাই, সাইকেলিং হতে হতে সেটা 170 টাকা এসে পৌঁছে, শুধু এই 70 টাকা ডিরেক্ট আর ইনডাইরেক্টলি গভর্নমেন্ট নিয়ে যাচ্ছে। প্রথম আমি 1 MB ব্যান্ডউইথ যদি আমি আমার আইএজিতে আইটিসি অথবা বিএসসিএল থেকে আমরা নেই, ওইখানে 15% একটা ভ্যাট আসতেছে। তারপর এনটিটিএনের মাধ্যমে আমার আইএজিতে আসতেছে, সেখানে একটা 15% ভ্যাট আসতেছে। আইএজি 10% রেভিনিউ শেয়ারিং করতেছে গভর্নমেন্টের সাথে, সেখানে আবার তার উপরে 15% ভ্যাট আসতেছে। তারপর আমার আইএসপির দোরগোড়ায় পৌঁছতেছে এবং সেটা অলমোস্ট আমি বলবো যে 100 টাকার সাথে 70 টাকা অ্যাড হয়ে যাচ্ছে। আমরা ভ্যালু অ্যাড করে ইউজার এন্ডে যাওয়ার জন্য যখন আমরা এনটিটিএনের দোরগোড়ায় যাই তখন এনটিটিএনকে 800 থেকে 1500 টাকা পার এমবির জন্য আমাদের দিতে হয়। তো অফকোর্স তাদেরও কষ্ট আছে, তারাও বলবে জাস্টিফাই করবে। এখন ব্যান্ডউইথের প্রাইস 1000 টাকার উপর আমরা যেতে পারি না ইউজার এন্ডে। আমার মনে হয় সেই প্রাইসটাকে হাই এবং লো একটা যদি আমরা একটা প্রপোজাল দিয়েছি বিটিআরসিকে, সেটা যদি বিটিআরসি বিবেচনা করে এবং আমাদের ভবিষ্যৎ। ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে।
Thank you, Imdad. Thanks for your ideas, and some just he couldn't come. But anyway, we are having Dr. Shahjahan or extend his cooperation in that matter also. Anyway, let me hand over mic to Major General Mr. Abdul Rashid. I think he can share his views and thoughts on these areas also. Then later on, I'll pass it to Connie.
The technology leaders, the government stakeholders, Assalamu alaikum. I'm not a technology expert. I don't know. It's private. Now, if coming back to this ICT, in particular, what I say that IT-enabled services, whatever we design, I'm sure it has posed a great security hazard to the nation. For example, see when starting from the mobile banking, and we see that organized criminal groups and the jihadists are making extensive use as the businessmen are doing. So it is not only making business, we have to keep our people secure. The first and foremost proposal that I'll give here, that whatever technology that you put forward for the service of the people, it must be secure. So now the new era has come. So I'm not going into the details. The only thing is that innocent civilians are being killed, and for no reasons. So our minds are being poisoned, and this cyberspace actually creating that environment to poisoning the minds of the people. So that is the importance that I would like to lay down. Another one that we must also know that there will be number of attacks. So there is we call it a cyber war, cyber warfare. So we have the technology. Do we have the sufficient defense mechanism from any attack? This is one question. The second thing is that do we have any attack capability? If anybody is trying to attack me, and I'm trying to defend myself, and again, can I have the capability to attack him and kill him? And not physically, but technologically. So Bangladesh in this context, I'm sure, maybe the chairman might have a lot of technology in his hand, but as a people, I don't get that confidence. So as we study the security, and I know this time at this stage we have some of the spaces are blocked, but I find the capacity is so weak that still we are all using that blocked environment using VPN. So what is our defense capability? So we have to create a secure environment which must not cause or pose threat to the national security. National security is only not saving the country, also saving the people is a part of it. About the business, I understand that if we can keep the Bangladesh or make a tranquil environment, I'm sure the people like the gentleman sitting beside me, they will be interested to invest in Bangladesh. So we need a very good investment environment, and that is related to security. As we have seen recently, that Bangladesh security condition has been propagated or presented to the Western countries in such a fashion that this Bangladesh is full of IS. Means it is a jihadist have actually captured Bangladesh. This wrong perception, and we had been telling right on that day, we studied the security of Bangladesh very keenly. We said that Bangladesh is a very softly threatened country, and we said that the direction of the threat, actually Bangladesh is not on that line. It is rather Australia or maybe UK, maybe France, they are on the line of attack. And ultimately, within a couple of weeks, we have seen. So automatically presenting a growing country, a developing country, and actually hampering and creating a historical and also strength of human. Our people historically are very tolerant. So they can live side by side, they can accommodate any ideas, they can work together with any religious or sectarian groups without any difficulties that I have seen. Another best thing of Bangladesh I must highlight, that is Bangladesh do not espouse, people of Bangladesh do not espouse the hate culture. I have seen just yesterday, the American president candidate, Mr. Donald Trump, has said that they are going to ban the entry of Muslims in USA. Crowd, I am actually scared on that. Crowd cheered his word. But I can tell you the Bangladesh people will never cheer such words of hate or hatred culture. So that is the strength of Bangladesh. And that actually makes Bangladesh secure. So unnecessary presenting a nation which has got its inherent character and just putting aside all those inherent strength, if we present the only weaknesses, I'm sure we have to present ourselves in the international arena that Bangladesh is still safe, but I can again tell you there is nothing called absolute safety. Nowhere. But we have to always defend ourselves and we have to maintain our attack capability. So I am in a proposal that those are actually working in this cyber environment. Do we have the attack capability? Can we kill all those what is called evil sites? I don't think we have the capacity. But young people like you should build up the capacity that okay, if they are spreading all those poison and actually poisoning the mind, and we also have the attack capability to kill all those evil sites. So we have to think in that line. If we cannot do that, I think all the plan that we make, all the business strategy that we make, it is very difficult to make it successful. So I wish that we'll be thinking about the security and also the future changing dimensions of the threat. So for which anybody planning a business, he must also plan it is not only his investment on his equipments, on his softwares, on his manpower. Also he got to invest on security. So that is very important, and for which probably the Bangladesh as a nation need to spend more money to make the Bangladesh people secure. Thank you.
Medias and others. I know that there are Facebooks and all these things are there, but alternative ways are there. So almost everyone using that those alternatives. So it is better instead of blocking those things. I think we have to teach our people also. That's the most important part. I believe that what we should do or what we should not do, because policing is not very good way of teaching people, protecting people. Better you teach from your home. Better you teach from your environment that what are the things you should protect and who you should not protect. So let us not talk about Mr. Donald Trump or whatever. America is always an open country, and that will remain open country, that I believe. And so do Bangladesh also. Bangladesh always believe the friendship to everyone, and we are very much hospitable people. So I'm sure we will continue in that what we are thinking, and that is our dream. So before handing over my mic to Mr. Martin Conway, let me introduce two gentlemen who are in here. And why I'm introducing these two gentlemen, because they are the right person to discuss on those issues, and especially Mr. Vice Chairman, Brigadier General Mr. Hassan, and he's in here, and from BPRC, and Director General legal side, he looks after he's also from BTRC, Mr. Shahiduzzaman. So these are the two gentlemen. So naturally, why I'm introducing them, because later on, if you have any question on those issues, and they're the right people who can talk on those. So let me hand over this microphone to Mr. Martin Conway. Let him share his views from the outside, as an outsider from the Bangladesh part. And after that, I'll pass it to others, and then we'll go for question and answer. Thank you.
So the best thing is you can learn from them. They're next door, and and there's opportunities to get to work from them. The worst thing is if there's a deal going down, they're probably going to get it. So, but that doesn't matter. They're there. They are what they are, and we have to deal with it. In respect to Mr. Rashid's comments about the geopolitical situation, I agree with your remarks. There's nothing you can do about it, so we just have to move on. And I can tell you that from the outside, looking into Bangladesh, people, well, certainly in Australia and the UK, where I was 3 weeks ago, and so forth, they have no feelings about Bangladesh in that context. They certainly don't share that view. And populist politicians like Donald Trump, I mean, he's trying to be elected and he's appealing to a particular constituency, and in Australia yesterday, nearly all of the newspapers called him unhinged. So we certainly don't share his view at all. Now, but the lessons that we can learn from the other countries who are further ahead on the outsourcing journey. The supply nations, not the nations who are the buyers, the source companies, the UK, the Australias, the Canadas, America, and so forth. So India was the start of it. First of all, India had a minister for ICT BPO. I'm pretty sure his name was yeah, exactly the same one. And he said to me, my job is to turn, I have 1 billion constituents, and I need to turn 1 billion snake charmers into 1 billion mouse clickers. So, and that was a vision that he had, and but he got a seat. By his presence, he had a seat at the executive level of government and was able to be a real voice for the people. So this year in Vietnam, an up-and-coming emerging BPO place has introduced English at kindergarten level. So in 10 years, when these kids all graduate and so forth, they're going to be speaking perfect English. And there's a lot of companies interested in Vietnam. The one thing that you share in common with them is 50% of their population is under 30. So therefore, we know, and even though, you know, Wi-Fi and VPN, whatever, might be a bit crappy here, but the thing is, the people who are under 30 are all what they call digital natives. They get it. They never lived in a world that was wired. Their world's unwired. Their world is about the cloud. So we have to embrace that, and we have to encourage those kids, because they're the leaders of tomorrow. For all us old guys sitting around, you know, pontificating about this, that, and the other, what we've got to remember is that we've got to find the leaders in that young group, and we've got to mentor them and bring them through. Now, when we're talking about the skills of the people, still staying on that theme, what we need to do is we need to open up the private education. So we can't just rely on government schools to supply the education. If you look at all of the IT degrees from American universities, what they're doing is that the professors and so forth in those universities, when they were learning and understanding about school, they were 30, 40 years ago. And the internet wasn't even invented then. So we need to turn over to the private sector, and we need to incentivize. This is what the Philippines did. They incentivized the private sector to start doing these courses, so that, because the market obviously will take care of itself. If you put the money there and encourage private education, teaching the new skills, because most of the people who come out of Australian University, two of my daughters, they were unemployed for 2 years because what they learned in university was not relevant to today. So that's the first thing you have to do, is look at the education system and not necessarily rely on the traditional way that people get educated, and then obviously turn it over to the private sector. And one of the things that's very important in terms of educating people is the whole issue around cross-cultural assimilation. We talked a little bit, we joked a little bit about, you know, language and so forth. One thing we need to do is we need to understand that call centres, part of BPO, they're not the only part, they're a big part, but not the only part, is all about soft skills. Understanding what people are saying and so forth. So there has to be some component of the education that addresses not only customer skills, customer service skills, screen navigation, but also soft skills. How to speak to people in another country, in their language, because that, at the end of the day, is what the customers want. All of this leads into what in the Western world we're very concerned about, which is ethical outsourcing. You had better have a place where people are not putting chicken boxes, they are, you know, given proper breaks, and they're treated properly and they're paid properly. Because big corporations won't put the work here unless you ethically employ people to work the same as what's expected in our country. Now, just on technology and so forth, it's changing. It's all about the cloud. It's all about you know, robotic process automation. It's not in the future. It's here now. The future has already arrived. But the best thing about Bangladesh is this inflection in time, where you've got whatever it is in the water here, and I've been trying to drink lots of it, and there's two things that Bangladeshis have got more than anybody else in the whole world. Maybe not the whole world, but India is sort of similar. The first is that you've got a very clever mathematical left brain thinkers. Your people win lots of competitions for maths and so forth. The second is you've got this intrinsic entrepreneurial spirit. You can see it on the streets, the trader, all these guys there, these people, so that's really important. What's coming in outsourcing is big data. Now, big data is just numbers, but without algorithms, without having people who understand mathematics, data scientists, all these sorts of people, which you don't even know this, but you've got millions of them. And they're just sitting outside waiting to be turned on. And if we can harness that power of those people and create an opportunity to create a business colony here, in the same way that Sri Lanka after their war are now the world leader in bookkeeping and accounting. Philippines is for voice. India is for IT. Mauritius is also for IT, but they speak two languages. A very up and coming thing. Vietnam is all about animation. Well, in the Philippines, all Hollywood movies are now done in the Philippines. And Thailand, exactly. So the thing is, what we need to do here is we need to create the ecosystem, the environment for this to unleash the power that's already in the people. Now, just going back to one thing about perspective. Yes, Bangladesh has got an image, but let's change the language. Let's not talk about Bangladesh. Let's talk about unleashing the Bengal tiger. How about that for an idea? Why not? And if we change the language, and all of a sudden we get the people behind us, and we get the industry goes, okay, this is all about being proud again. So one lesson from the Philippines, when they turned themselves from a third world country to a developing nation to now middle income, was they changed the rhetoric from being poor and sorry, we're basket case and we need money, to now their whole promotion is it's more fun in the Philippines. You may have seen the ads on CNN or what have you, but now all of a sudden Filipinos are proud everywhere. Before they were starving to death and what have you, but now I was in London a few weeks ago and I see them everywhere. Oh, another Filipino, what? We're on holidays, that's great. So the thing is this whole multiplier effect. If we can, now the last thing I want to say before I finish is that the other thing is you must not hamstring the industry by making too many rules or too much rigid policy. You must set, there has to be rules and there has to be operating standards, but what you must do is you must let the industry flourish. You must pump it up and let it do. And one of the things that you really have to do here is Dakar Electric, the telephone company, the airlines, you need to go to them and you need to say, look, you guys need to outsource. Because that's what they did in China. Now, it was a bit of a different situation because it's a command and control economy. So they went from no call centers at all to nearly 6 or 7 million call center operators in 3 or 4 years. Now, but they're only going to service China. They're not interested in America or anywhere else. They're just interested in China. So we must go to the private sector here, or sorry, the public sector, and say, look, I spoke before about an example I had last night of the immigration service here in the airport. Complete shambles. Somebody needs to go to the government. I don't know if you gentlemen are responsible for that, but somebody needs to go to that government department and say, outsource immigration, border security, or whatever it is, but make it more efficient. It took me an hour to get my passport stamped last night. It's a joke. You know, coming from the outside, that's the first thing I see. That front of house, not a good look. Let me just finish on that. So, and obviously we'll have more chance to. But thank you for the opportunity.
Especially, you rightly pointed, because although we talk about English, but we have to consider, and I made the Prime Minister also, being a chairman, I had a chance to go to him and talk to him. Even in Thailand also, they're putting more effort on English, because they're saying their deficiency in English communications also. Get ready on this. I know you're having what Martin personally said, rightly pointed, we are little bit ahead of maths in terms of math and innovation and entrepreneurship. We are very good, but we are very, very behind in terms of marketing. we are not good at marketing, and we are not good at presentation also. That is my personal feeling, we noticed. Anyway, before handing over mic to Mr. Enai Khan, former Secretary, Government of Bangladesh, I wanted to say that our friend Asif had to go for another meeting, and so could you please give a big hand to Mr. Asif, because he has to go for another meeting. Thank you, Asif, for your time. Anyway, I'm handing over this is all our bureaucratic matters now, because from my right-hand side, the chairman of BTRC sitting, and my left-hand side, still he's a bureaucrat. So naturally, I should not say that he's not a bureaucrat. So let me hand over mic to one bureaucrat, to then the chairman. Thank you.
Bureaucrat.
No, it's okay. Bureaucrat is always.
Thank you, Kafi bhai. Many of my points already touched upon by Mr. Martin, I think. To my mind, the first challenge is aligning education with BPO. If we look into other parts of the world, in Germany, 66% students are going to technical education. Not everybody is going to computer science or everything, but 66% going to technical education. If we look into Singapore, 65% is going. If we look into even Switzerland, only 15% going for higher education. I think here we have a big challenge to change this way of doing. And the perception is that our perception here is mostly on cognitive sort of domain. We are not very aware about the other domains. So here, sensitizing the educationist and policymakers, those who are dealing with education, is very difficult, I think, and challenging, first things. Second, another challenging is that those who are dealing with education, the bureaucrats, the politicians, we need to change their mind as well, because 98%, I think 95% of our time spent on speaking and listening. Only 2 to 3 or 5% time is for reading and writing. But if we go to our schools, we find that only reading and writing is there. There is no listening and speaking classes in this country. No listening and speaking. So I tried to introduce, I have already had a circular, some material, but I find very strong resistance. Even those who are implementing, those who are supposed to draw the policy, those who are supposed to implement. And these two areas, so we do not have any succession plan for bureaucracy, say for education ministry, primary education ministry, or dealing with ICT ministry. There is no succession plan. This is a big challenge, I think, because it depends on person. The third thing is that in training areas, we do not have any very good formal training institute. I should not say, I should say any company. I don't find any very good company. We tried, but it's very difficult. And training on the part of the government is sometimes it's not easy. Why? Because what I understand, because I involved in this process, every time we need to change the curriculum, the course content. Why you need to change? Because our people having very poor background. So you need to improve them, then you should go for another course, you should go for another higher course. Why I'm saying this poor background? Because some of them may be very good, but we should think about the whole 20 million children going in primary schools, and another 20 million is eligible for secondary school, maybe going on under 20 million. 15 million is going secondary, but another 20 million is eligible for secondary. We should think for everybody, because inclusively we should think. And our another big, I'll finish here and I'll take the question. And our perceptional problem is there here. There is a proverb, we need to be remix this proverb. This proverb is slow and steady wins the race. I think it is to be remixed and said that fast and steady wins the race. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Khan, regarding your small but very interesting comments. Before passing my microphone to Dr. Mahmood, I'm going to hand over this microphone to Martin again. He wanted to go do something.
Thank you. Just for one moment.
Yes, no problem.
And I just want to tell you what the Philippines did. They had the same problem and couldn't get the education sector. I mean, my wife's a teacher. I know what they're like. And what they did was they did two things. One is they created, this Freddie Tinga created a thing called Mint College, cloud-based learning, a curriculum from kindergarten to year 12, completely focused on this whole ICT, BPO, this new knowledge economy. And education's got three parts. It's got the buildings, expensive, it's got the teachers, and it's got the library, all the books. If you put the library in the cloud, do away with the buildings, you've only got the price of the teachers. And what their model was they franchised that to little local teachers who would take on 16 students a year, and they made each little one into a business, and they delivered the education out to the provinces and so forth. It's a very effective model. If you'd like to talk about it offline somewhere, I can introduce you, etc., etc. I'd be delighted to. Now, the other thing, of course, in the private sector, so all these BPO companies are coming into the market. They are scouring the globe right now, looking for clusters of people who can speak English. So what the Philippines did, you think, well, it's the third largest English-speaking country in the world, 100 million people, and you think, oh, they all speak English, but they don't. They speak English in Manila, but in Cebu or Davao City or something like that, they all speak their local version of Filipino at home. They don't. But what the call centers did was initially they put signs up everywhere, English speaking only. You weren't allowed, you got fined if you spoke in anything other than English, to reinforce that fact. But what they did do is that they, interestingly, only 3% of all the people that they interviewed to work in that industry, everyone's got a university degree, but only 3% are hired, because they're the 3% that have got business grade English. Another 20% have got, they're almost there, so they have a near hire policy, and the BPO companies pay for it. So they put the kids through a 2-month intensive English period, and 95% of them pass, and then they're taken it, but they put them on half pay. They put them in dormitories and they just smash them with English. And after 2 months, then they get a job. So that's called a near hire policy. And that's something that you can do here. So of course, scoop up the ones that want to work, and then the ones that want to work but haven't quite got the English, you need to then say to the BPO company, well, you have to train them. And they will do it because it's worth it for them. Because remember, they're scouring the globe looking for English speakers. So it's not as if the government has to put its hand in its pocket and say, well, everybody goes, oh, what's the government going to do? The government doesn't have to do that. The government just has to set the policy and the standards and make sure that the kids are not getting ripped off and exploited. Once you've got that in place, the market will take care of the education. So that's my point.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you. I'm just adding on some information about India also, because when you initially you said India, we got a good side, we got a bad side also, being sitting next to India. I'm just sharing with you, 20 years back, as you mentioned about this Pramod Mahajan, when he was a minister, central minister, and during that time, there are two other gentlemen in two different provinces. Everybody knows, one is S.M. Krishna, he was the chief minister of Bangalore, and the another one is C.B. Naidu, Chandrababu Naidu, and those are the icon of Indian IT industry where they started. And S.M. Krishna, I remember that everybody called him as a Superman Krishna, because S.M. Krishna, because those are the people from the government side, they actually given all the directions. And the side-by-side industry was the NASCOM. I remember because this Devang Mehta, he was the president of NASCOM those time, and he actually expired at a very early stage. He was one of the dynamic person.
He died in Australia.
He died in Australia. Remember that, that was the day. And I was in Singapore at that time, and that was a very sorry story because just 1 month back we had a meeting and then he died. And thanks to Devang again, because he is not in here, he is not in this universe again. Because of his suggestion, he came to Bangladesh in 2000, and he actually insisted our government to remove the duty barrier. So that was the help we had during those days. And now actually what Enai Khan said, it is not a slow and steady win the race. It is better, we have to be fast and we have to win the race as well. So naturally, yes, and because everybody rushing. Yes, we are also developing. It is not that no one is not developing. Everybody is developing. And every world is developing on this. And everybody pointing, everybody focusing on ICT, ICT, and ICT. And every country, even Vietnam, not only Vietnam, I'm talking about even our next door neighbor, even Bhutan. Also, they are thinking of developing their industry through information technology. So anyway, before these are the things, and so naturally we have to work. Government should be more and more proactive, which they are. Same thing, industry should come forward also, so that they can develop. And we should not look into anything, forget about security. We have to live with it. I don't want to take my time because the chairman, Mr. Mahmood, Dr. Mahmood is in here. He is the person, he can give some ideas, and later on I'm going to pass this microphone to audience so that they can ask questions. So passing over to Dr. Mahmood, Chairman BTRC. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kavi. Tabletop discussion, and I came to various dimensions of this about providing a secure cyber facility, as mentioned by Major General Abdul Bashir, that we are now endangered species. Truly, we are. But let me tell you, not
watching it very keenly.
Yeah, from the outside, you
from the outside.
yeah, not to worry too much about it. So BTRC plays most of the very important role in setting up a call center. And as a matter of fact, it is BTRC in 2007 who introduced call center or gave the call center license first time in this country. I think, in 2007, the first call center license was issued by BTRC, and then BTRC participated in call center expo in Birmingham, UK in 2008, 2009, 2010, and also published advertisement in various international magazines. And also lately, on June last year, 2014, BTRC and Baku participated in the Outsourcing World Conference. So the reason I'm saying that BTRC has been consistently trying to explore or to enhance the call center business in this country. So in order to facilitate that, in order to set up a call center in the shortest possible time, they have wiped away the licensing process. So you don't have to go through a long licensing process. You can do it, it's simply a matter of registration. Just pay some money and you start business. And also, what we have done, that we don't go for inspection at the beginning. We give you a 21 days license that you operate it, and then you set up it, and then after that we go and inspect that. So we have done all possible things to do that. But again, I urge the Baku committee or BPO committee or to look into their compatriot, their other members. Why I'm saying that? My record shows that there are 300 licensee or 300 call center licenses in this country, but out of that only 70 international, are operating in international arena, and only 26 domestically. So what I suggest to them, that talk to them, try to see why they are not getting successful, or even try to help them. Our Honorable Secretary Nazrul Islam said that we need to set up some institute. You'll be very happy to know, and I'm very proud to say that BTRC has also established 6 institutes called Center Training, Call Center Training Institute, CCTI, and BTRC has helped to establish 6 of those institutes. So I will not go into more details. I will open the floor to the audience for questions. If you have any questions to the participants in the forum, you can do it now, and I'm handing over mic to Mr. Sophie.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your comment and some ideas and information. From government side, we have heard from the chairman.
For our president who is residing here. Thanks for coming here, sir. The first one is that we have discussed about that we need training centers, and the government can only enable to facilitate it. But when we went to the BTRC site, we see that there are the instructions to set up a training center and the syllabus that we have to teach. But there are not such materials that what we gonna get it from. So this is the first question I would like. Mr. Martin said that we need to set up something that which is standardized the international centers. But the materials we need to get for training the people or training the operators that we don't have right now. You know that from my experience, I have been working for more than 5 years in the marketing industry as a marketer. But when I started to started a call center, I called, sir, I would like to let you know that I have called more than 3 training centers, but they are unable to provide me international agents. That's the fact I failed to start it.
What's the question?
My question is that can you give me some resources what will enable us to get the materials that has been advised to teach the agents to get them enabled.
Okay, let me pass over to Mr. And I can't then later on Martin.
Exactly, it would be the this question could be from all the entrepreneurs who started.
It's okay, because I wanted to save time.
I think you are talking about learning material.
Yes, sir.
I don't think there is any scarcity of learning material, any sort of learning material. First, the problem is to how you can civilization, not very old, but they have created most sophisticated machineries, weapons, everything.
Definitely.
You need to develop. Thank you.
Martin, for the second part.
Alrighty. Okay, so good question, and I understand your frustration. I'll just tell you what's coming down the pipeline. So I'm on the international committee for BPO Standards. So we're about to impose on the world the standard for BPO contracts and so forth. So you'd better get your act together, guys, because if you don't, we're going to come down hard on you, and if you don't meet the standard, you won't get the work, because this ISO standard will insist that you comply with certain issues around training and the way that you actually run contracts. So now, specifically to you, sir, I assume that because you're in marketing, you know how to use Google and the internet. I want you to do one thing when you go back to wherever your home or office or whatever it is. I want you to go online and put in BPO training. You will be surprised at the millions of sites out there that offer you training. Now, but specifically, I want you to go to the Business Process Outsourcing Association of the Philippines. Just go, BPAP, just go onto their site. Everything that you want is there and more. Everything that you were afraid to ask is actually there on that site. You can help yourself. You can go onto many sites. Just go online and educate yourself. Write to people about, hey, Guy, I'm in Bangladesh and I want some help. Can you help me? How does this work? What does this do? I mean, what age are you? Like sort of 30 or something? How old are you?
Yes, around 30.
30, perfect. On my eyesight's still good. So you are a person. Excuse me, Cameron. Sorry.
Cameron.
I can't see through you, brother.
Yeah, because
Yeah, thank you. I want you to educate yourself. It's incumbent upon you not to rely on these people here. These guys are doing their job and so forth. It's down to you. If it's going to be, it's up to me. Write that on a bit of paper. You are the one to make it happen. Okay, so you can't just come here and say, where do I find materials? I can't believe that you're saying you've been doing this job for 5 years and you don't know where to look. A guy like you who's like a digital native.
Martin always talking Philippines because he was there very recently, but other countries are already there. So you have to prepare for that and you have to get ready for that. No one is going to help it. So anyway, the next question, please.
Okay, thank you, sir, for giving me the floor. Actually, I have 3 questions to Honorable Mahmood, sir. My first question is, always we see that when any accident occurs at the social media of Bangladesh government always try to ban the social media like as YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. But why didn't they take any type of urgent solution without ban this social media? So what is the process to take any urgent solution without ban the social media? And my second question is, there are a lot of social media hackers in Bangladesh. When we see at the foreign countries, those countries government try to use them as their assets, but Bangladeshi government always give them punishment. But I think Bangladesh government can use them as our asset. So why cannot government use them as our asset? And thank you. And my third question is, bloggers are the very important source of Bangladesh social media. So why government?
Yeah, I think I'm not equipped to answer all those questions that why the social media is banned, because this is a political question. If the Home Ministry thinks that by not banning them it will cause harm to the community or to the country, I think they have to do that. So it's not our responsibility. The decision is taken at the highest step. Yeah. As Mr. Kafi said, you cannot give award to some thieves association or some Batman's association. And I don't know why, in which country those hackers are being rewarded. I have no idea. You will see, even in the United States, when a hacker like that is caught, they are directly sent to the jail and they are sent to the court. So I think you don't have the perfect information on that. And again, about the safety of the bloggers is the question of the government, not us. They take care of it. Okay? Thank you.
Hey, Martin, you wanted to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Bangladesh wants to play in the knowledge economy. You can't shut down, and I don't mean to be in any way disrespectful to political environment, but shutting down certain pillars of social media is like shutting the library because you don't like one book. So our expectation is that it's there, it's going to happen, it's up there 24/7. It comes good and bad, but you just have to run with it. And how they turn social media into a positive thing is people like you, who I assume that you're a blogger or something, you're active on social media. But what I'm saying is, and our policy is that we can't put anything up on our social media sites unless it's positive and and it's a good news story. So I appreciate that the other side of the coin is that it gives people a microphone and a megaphone to broadcast whatever they want. Now the most important thing though about blogging and social media is influencer. In this industry, BPO, what we must all do is we must get onto our own favourite at marketing. Not very good at promoting themselves and so forth. But it's incumbent upon all of you, every single other people that support the industry and so forth, and are writing positive things and being a champion in your own way. Bangladesh, the Bengal tiger rising, the rise of the Bengal tiger. That's what we've all got to start to promote. If everybody coalesces around.
Not need to worry about the timing. The moderator's life has become easier.
Sorry.
No, Martin, I'm joking. Doesn't say everybody want to listen about it. Anyway, regarding that question, again, Mr. Enai Khan wanted to share his views also. Thank you.
আমি একটু বাংলাতে বলতে চাই যে লিমিটেড লোকেশনে, সেটা হচ্ছে কেন আমাদের এই সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া বন্ধ করছে। আমি ব্যক্তিগতভাবে মনে করি বন্ধ করার কোনো প্রয়োজন ছিল না। কেন এটা বন্ধ করেছে? তার কারণ সোশ্যাল মিডিয়াতে আজে বাজে জিনিস, কিছু বেআইনি জিনিস লিখলেও আমাদের দেশে কোনো বিচার হয় না। আমি দেখেছি আমার কাছে একেবারে আজে বাজে জিনিস পাঠিয়ে দিয়েছে, কিন্তু আমি যদি কমপ্লেন করি আপনি কিছুই হয় না। তো এই কারণেই কিন্তু সরকার গড়ে ওই বন্ধ করে দেয় আমার যেটা মনে হয়। সুতরাং দুই দিকে একটা সমস্যা দেয়, একটা আমাদের জাস্টিস সিস্টেম, ল অ্যান্ড অর্ডার সিস্টেম, এটা আমার ব্যক্তিগত ধারণা থেকে বলছি, এই জন্যই বাংলায় বললাম। তো এটা বন্ধ করা থেকে বিরাট একটা ক্ষতি, বিজনেসে কিন্তু বিরাট একটা ইম্প্যাক্ট পড়েছে অনেকের অনেক বিষয়ে। তো সেই জন্য আসলে নট অনলি গভর্নমেন্ট বাট যারা পাবলিকের দিক থেকে একটা রেসপন্সিবল বিহেভিয়ার দরকার। যখনই এরকম ধরে সরকার উল্টাপাল্টা করলে তখন কিন্তু দেখা যায় যে পাবলিক সাপোর্ট দেয় না। ওই বলে কি ফুল ফ্রিডম আছে ওয়েস্টে, কিন্তু ওয়েস্টে আপনি যদি লাদেন সম্পর্কে কিছু লেখেন 5 মিনিট আপনার 14 গোষ্ঠী উদ্ধার করে ফেলেন। সুতরাং এটা আমি কেন বলতে পারবো না তার সম্পর্কে, যদি আপনারা তাই বলেন। আমি তো ঘোরাফেরা করি বিদেশে, এরকম নাই শুধু, কিন্তু আমাদের এখানে পারসেপশন খুব মানে একটা ভিন্ন। মেন হচ্ছে বোথ গভর্নমেন্ট অ্যান্ড পাবলিক এডুকেটেড না হলে এগুলো হবে। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Anyway, due to time constraint, I'm going to ask for one more question. If anybody come forward for a question, so please.
প্রশ্নটা হলো, আমাদের দেশে যে পলিটেকনিক ইনস্টিটিউট বা টিভেট ইনস্টিটিউট আছে স্যার, আপনার পক্ষ থেকে সবসময় বলা হয় যে আইসিটি বা এই জাতীয় বিষয়ে আমাদেরকে ইনক্লুড করা হবে দেশের সব ক্ষেত্রে। কিন্তু স্যার এইখানে যে আমার দেশে প্রতি বছর যে পরিমাণ ছাত্র গ্রাজুয়েট হচ্ছে পলিটেকনিক ইনস্টিটিউট বা টিভেট ইনস্টিটিউটগুলো থেকে, তো তাদেরকে কি স্যার জবের জন্য বিপিও ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে ইনক্লুড করার কোনো ব্যবস্থা গ্রহণ করা যায় কিনা?
I will stress hard. They are saying me they are taking care of it. It might take 5-6 months to realign with this. First thing. Second thing is that I also took steps to connect this polytechnic and technical school and colleges with high-speed connectivity. If you recollect it, I have already same letter requested, but many people, even the teachers, they do not understand. This is a necessity. If you look into the whole our ICT policy, I put the word is that every house should be connected by this time, but everybody needs to be in a same frequency. Otherwise, I am sending some message in a frequency, they are not receiving it because they have capacity to catch different frequencies. Thank you.
Anyway, because today's discussion, this topic was supposed to be future challenges of ICT development. But I think we have taken a lot of things. Anyway, the last question to a lady, so because no one from that gender came forward. Yes.
That's crazy. Anyway, thank you. Let me introduce myself first for introduction. I'm representing Uniform International Limited, which is. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I'm representing Unicom International Limited, which is an IT-based company, but also a consulting-based company. And my question is to Mr. Khan, since he was in A2I, and referring to what Mr. Martin gave, example of Philippines. I understand, yes, English is very important. I know about, I'm aware, I was also involved in projects like soccer.
Programs on teacher training, particularly English teacher. But in the mobility is very high. When a teacher become more proficient, they leave this profession. This is my experience. One problem. Second problem is that in secondary education there is a problem. The problem is that for Bangla and English there is one post. I think very few people understand it. This is why when I was education secretary, I reformed it, changed it, that there should be separate teachers. For Bangla, a different teacher, English, but I put forward it, but the hierarchy not yet, published it because they think that it involves huge amount of money. So we have to wait for some time to understand the implication as well as financial feasibility. Thank you very much.
Anyway, we are almost, because of the time constraint, we have to finish, otherwise we could discuss a lot on that. So we are giving 1 minute each to Martin, Moin, and then Chairman on this matter. Thank you. Because our today's discussion is supposed to be future challenges of ICT industry. Now we have taken every challenges in our hand. Thank you.
Okay, those of you with pens, write this down, englishlink.com. Go there, it's free education in English. Anybody can do it anywhere in the world. I encourage you to go there. Canadian company, englishlink.com. First thing. Second thing is we have in Australia, we have 160 different nationalities. You think we're all look like me, but I'm actually Irish, to be honest. But the thing is, we have many refugees and migrants coming to our country, some from war-torn countries and so forth. And one of the things, they don't speak English when they come to our country. So we have a program to teach refugees how to speak English. My wife teaches them, that's how I know. But we also have a support program called Language Numeracy and Literacy. And that's where so if you are interested, the organisation in Australia is called TAFE, Tertiary and Further Education. I mean, obviously contact with them. I would be delighted to put you in touch with them about their learner support programs that are designed specifically for people from a non-English speaking background. It would be fantastic to have it here. I think that's why I'm on
this. We just pointed out a few of them in our initial discussion, but all of us, I think, could not bring out all those challenges, especially for the Bangladesh BPM industry. And I believe they have a lot of concern still. It's not that they have not brought it onto the table. That doesn't mean that they do not have any problem, they do not have challenge. I think this is one of the challenges I can see, that we really do not have enough resource to understand our problems even, what I can see. And I believe to attract investment into this sector, this is very, very important, that we address all these challenges with the government properly, and government should address, especially at least one question came from the audience about this teachers training. This is a big thing, whether we have all this solution in the website or wherever, it helps, but it is not a core solution, I believe. We have to have our core solution inbuilt in our society from our system. And I think we got some interaction, and I will definitely continue work with the BACO team and to bring all these challenges together in front of the government, so that we can work together to address one by one. Some of them government has already addressed. Some BPO centers I just mentioned earlier, that in the remote area which government are opening, 500 BPO centers, those will help. But there are a lot more things to do. I believe we can all work together, especially with this association. Thank you very much.
That compared to India, our market size, our export and market size should be 10% of that. It should be 30 billion. Now it should be 10 plus billion. Information and suggestions also. At the same time, the civil society, we all are, but General is in here because he is from the law and development studies also. I'm really grateful. I'm really honored that these are the people are in this session being a moderator. Some sort of nothing is free in this world. So you came here. I think they'll give you at least a memento so that you can carry home. So. N.I. Khan, former secretary. I should not say that he's a former secretary. He's always a bureaucrat, and I want him to be. He's always a well-wisher.
I think even you drop former, because once divorced is nobody mentions the husband's name. So you can tell me only N.I. Khan.
Okay. Yeah, N.I. Khan is N.I. Khan. Everybody knows him. Right. Anyway.
Picture. Lost?
Okay.
Okay, next time. No problem.
No, wait. I don't know.
I really am truly a friend of Bangladesh. There's lots more like me. If you want to join me on LinkedIn, then join up and be friends and see what we're doing, okay? So do that.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, one.